let's
the
move
rugby.
on. Let's
Because
move on
plenty
to.
happening.
There is a lot happening, and there's a lot to come as well. It feels like there's things are just people are getting back into pre-season,
It's
fixtures
mad,
are
isn't
being
it?
announced. It's yeah, it is all go. But on the pitch, second test match down in Wellington, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, we thought there might be a bit of a sting in the tail from New Zealand slash they maybe couldn't be quite as wasteful as the week before. And that is how it panned out. It was
Yeah.
43-17. And to say they were at arm's length, the French, well, what was quite a youthful or at least inexperienced French team, to say they were at arm's length would probably not quite do it justice, maybe an arm and a half's length for the whole one of this. Where should we start? Do we want to go?
Just that we called it, mate. Yeah, we called it. We
Called
said it
it.
was going to happen.
Yeah, it was a tough one, this as well. Proper Nostradamus, Mystic Meg stuff.
Yeah.
Do the whole tour has
Start at the beginning.
been,
Start at the beginning. Team selection.
yeah, the whole tour
10
has been
changes.
has been what's the word I'm looking for? Like against the backdrop of selection, essentially, isn't it? So let's
Yeah.
let's go there. We said, well, we're not sure how many changes. We weren't entirely sure whether the Bordeaux Toulouse five were eligible until the last game. Turned out they very much were and were all brought in, if I'm not mistaken. Did all of them? I think all
Yes.
of them got in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Bern Taifa was on the bench as well.
Yeah. Brennan.
So, yeah, Brennan, Depater, Bern Taifa,
Washington.
Washington. Who am I missing?
Barassi.
Barassi started at 12. So
Brand
yeah,
new centre combo.
the French starting 15 had, I believe, 50 caps.
It had, I think, didn't Roman Talfafenur and Cameron Woki on the bench had more caps than the starting 15 or
I
something
believe so.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Talfafenur has more than that generally. It might have even been that. Um, but I don't, do you think that's an issue?
I don't.
Like
I don't think that in itself.
in and of itself, it's not an issue.
No.
Like teams go through cycles of change. You can have different sides that have are inexperienced. You know, it doesn't always mean everything that a team has very few caps, etc. But I think in the context of the narrative, it helps the people that want to create an agenda on a certain theme, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does. I would say I was, as much as the back line in particular did look pretty tasty, at least for us, kind of, Barassi's had a great season. We know how good Deporter can be. Barre maybe offers that slight more kind of out and out fullbackness whilst maintaining like the brilliance of Atasogbe on the wing. And then you've got Legarec and Segons. Like yeah, it's a proper back line and there's some heft in the
Yeah.
pack. Yeah. My issue with this, and I think this is fair, is there is I don't think looking at that. I think you can, regardless of how you felt at the start of the tour around like the volume of guys missing out, and go into last week, push New Zealand close, like keep it tight, do a sort of fantastic job above and beyond expectations. The series is still on the line, and let's say there's a like when like in COVID when like the England cricket team, one person tested positive and they had to draft in an entire new like 15-man squad. So in that sort of situation, if that was a Six Nations game and this was the squad they had to pick from more broadly, and there's something on the line, a series on the line, that is not the 15 Gautier picks. I just think it makes it look, and he can do what he wants. He's the coach, but I also don't think you can be immune from criticism when you push aside so close and then you rest the two outstanding forwards from the week before in Guillard and Fisher, and you not drop, rest the two most experienced backs, and you put a side out with that few combinations. We know he's looking to
I
build
think
it.
also with Fiku, like to rest
captain.
Well, maybe he's not first choice anymore. That's the thing. But he is so comfortably the most experienced player on that tour and the most obvious leader in terms of because of that international experience. I think that to drop him from the 23 isn't a great look. Although it's 6'2", so he's kind of hands behind his back on that one, I guess.
Yeah, and look, it's not saying it's a poor side, and it's not, we knew a lot of this tour was going to be about building depth, but I think it is. I think it's a bit naive to suggest that that approach for this test match should be immune from critique, because I think it's the series is on the line. There was talk beforehand as well. They felt they might go into this next game, which I think is at Hamilton, right, with
Yeah.
what you'd argue might be the strongest squad, probably bringing back in Fiku, Villiers, Oradu, Fisher, those guys. And to me, you do that do that while the series is still alive. I think as a sports fan, more broadly, like the approach should be about winning the next game. And I was a bit disappointed by the selection, as much as particularly in that back line. Actually, a few of them played okay, but were overwhelmed. So that's my slight, a little bit of a Wednesday morning rant from me, Rob.
I think your WhatsApp message last week was I might be slightly I think it was pretty much what you said verbatim, but it was like that amount of rotation is fundamentally unserious, which I think summed it up pretty well. Like it does. I think we were quick to defend the players and the selection and the situation because of the top 14 in the previous week, and it makes it very hard to defend it when you see that. It does make it slightly unserious and does make a little bit of a mockery of the tour. And it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to New Zealand. It's disrespectful to World Rugby. The knives were out, weren't they, at half time? Jeff Wilson was getting properly stuck in. He was ready to go.
Yeah,
Um, but I do kind of agree with that. Like it is, it's just it doesn't sit right. Doesn't sit right. You
yeah.
could argue what's more disrespectful, that team selection or not bothering to get any of the names right on commentary, but there we go.
There was one really good
I've
one,
got it
and I
written
can't.
down. I've got it written down. It was on, I can tell you the minute as well if anyone wants to go back and check it. On 42 minutes, Reggie Montagnier came on for Coulomb.
Brilliant.
That was a good one.
You
And
know,
also
it's a good.
at half time, I think Kieran Reid said about the Bowden Barrett slapdown, Gallier. We saw Gallier get one last week, which
Okay.
was a portmanteau of Gabin Villiers.
I like it. I like it. There was another one which was excellent. I think it was Bosherton. It was like
Boucheton. Boucheton.
Boucherton or something.
Yeah, yeah.
They're good ones when it's harder to come up with the new mispronunciation than it is just
Yeah.
to say it slightly
De
incorrectly.
Portery, but I guess yeah, De Portery was one that got me as well.
Um,
And also Joris Sagons basically played the whole game according to commentary. Don't know who they thought were. I think
although
Barry
in
got called Sagons. I think Gaetan got called Sagons. I think Astoy got called Sagons. Maybe because that's the one they've got nailed down.
although in fairness, I think in the first half there was a break on the wing, and I'm gonna right talking of mispronunciations, Tavanawai, who I
Yeah,
think was on debut.
yeah.
It was here he is cutting free. And I went, oh no, it's Ardi Surveyor.
I enjoyed that.
One of whom has
That guy,
22.
yeah, that guy, Tavanawai for Highlanders has basically been a bit of a one-man team. Although coming onto the game, talking of Highlanders players, I thought Fabian Holland was
Oh my God.
unbelievable, like
Yeah.
outstanding, looking like
Yeah.
Brody Retallick,
Yeah, he was a joke. Him and Tui
Tuipulotu.
Pilotta as well in the second row were incredible. And obviously that it was the sort of doing the rounds, wasn't it? That try. I think
Yeah.
just before, like,
Tupou Vai finished it off. Yeah.
it was absolutely stunning. But yeah, this,
Tupou Vai, who has seemed to, from what I can tell, has played France 3 times now and has been unreal in all
mm,
three of them. Obviously the one we were at, but also these two. I think he's just been quite like him as a six, but I mean, I
yeah,
generally don't like that sort of player as a six, but he's quite good at it. Um,
they were pretty outstanding. I thought New Zealand actually. I don't. That's not the most incisive analysis you'll ever see, but particularly in that first half, it was deeply impressive. Some of their yeah, some of their power and their attacking shapes were brilliant.
I just hope
Um,
that from a neutral perspective, I hope they can stop messing around and just go, look, Roygaard's clearly the best. Bowden Barrett is your best fly half. Certainly one more is not that. Just stop dicking around with Mackenzie at 10, like Geordie Barrett at 12. Get Will Jordan on the pitch.
keep it
Like,
simple.
yeah. I still don't think the back row, like, I'm not convinced about the new lads in the back row, Leo Willie and Karifi, but there we go.
Duplessis
Cody
Karifi,
Taylor's
which
sick.
is an absolutely incredible rugby hybrid name. That
Yeah.
is absolutely stunning. France, anyone, I think it's a bit of a shellacking, but did anyone kind of emerge from this bit credit in the bank for you?
So, so last week we talked about like the rate, like 5-star players, 4-star players. I don't think anyone was either of those, and I've picked out a handful of 3-star players, of players
Okay.
who basically were like slightly above average. Although I think the player that um, came out with the net gain, the biggest net gain was the previously mentioned Reggie Montagnier, Regis Montagnier, who struggled at scrum time the previous week from memory, but was actually pretty good this week and was pretty good around the park. The what did you call him? The Hall of Mirrors, George Martin.
Yeah,
I
well,
said
you
he
said he
looked like
looks a
George
bit, yeah.
Martin. Yeah. Um, Talking about Hall of Mirrors, I went to the Grey Cricketer live on Sunday night, and that was like walking into a Hall of Mirrors. It might as well have been. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where everyone has dressed so similarly and looked so similar to me. Anyway, but yeah, I thought Regis Montagnier was decent. Do you want to hear my 3-star
I
players?
do, yeah.
Okay, from 1 to 15. Pierre Bocheton, Nicolas Deportes, Leo Barre, Pierre Bourgaret, Regis Montagnier, Cameron Woki, Antoine Astoy.
Fair.
Woki, who's injured for the next game, and as is Regis Montagnier. So they are both out of that next test, which is a shame. But well, we'll come
Okay.
on to next week. But there are rumours. There's the classic bib theory from James Harrington, which always seems to be pretty spot on. Do
Yeah.
you agree with any of those? Disagree with any of those?
I
Throw a
don't
few more names into the
no, I
mix.
don't disagree. I thought in spite of his yellow card, I thought Josh Brennan on debut was pretty good, but I am a massive Josh Brennan fan. He was
I thought him and Halangahu were okay.
got
Like they were.
themselves about.
It feels harsh to obviously anything less than 3 stars would be 2 stars, but they were fine. I think a lot of the France players were fine. Like the back line
Yes,
generally was fine, but the guys that
without
were at
injecting much.
yeah, the guys that actually had something positive on the game, I've given those little 3-star ratings to. I think Hastoy, the attack just looked a bit better when he came on. He added a bit of his own pace. Like he does have some pace himself, which Sagons doesn't really.
Yeah.
He was really like the way him and Brassi's probably possibly a
Yeah.
3-star as well. Um, I thought he tackled big in the first half. Brassi hit hard, but also I think the way him and Hastoy linked for the try from Barre was decent. Barre's a weird one. Like he got charged down, which would have been properly village early on, and he's not flawless. I don't think he'll ever be flawless because he's just that type of risky. He's always still quite raw. He maybe when he's like Brice Doulan's age, he'll be absolutely flawless. But maybe he's like the next Brice Doulan, basically, but taller.
You reckon?
Always looked classy, massive boot. Could grab the game by a scruff of the neck. Could do something completely loose at the worst time to do it. But generally, he does look quite classy. Like he looks like he fits at that level. He didn't look particularly in sync with the others, apart from that try. But he's a good player, isn't he? I think he's got stuff about him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The only other thing was, and possibly just because before the game you were like, not you, but the collective, we, a little bit looking at the French front row with Adosio, Colombe, who I still love Georges-Henri Colombe. I think he could be a phenomenal, but he had a pretty horrible season. Like there's no
Yeah.
two ways about it, and seemed to be going backwards in scrums and falling out of favour with La Rochelle and
Do you
what
think?
have
Do you
you.
think? Do you think he
It
just
held
needs
up
a?
pretty well
Yeah, maybe. I
at
think.
scrum
Well,
time.
either he just plays well against the All Blacks, because he did. He went all right in the loose, or maybe he had another gastro. Maybe he just needs a gastro,
He was all
and then
right in the
he's
loose.
unreal.
He was a bit unlucky with a cut. There was one he nailed one unbelievable jackal, but it was like during a
Was it
penalty
got?
advantage.
Yeah, it got called back, didn't it?
And then he got kind
Um,
of blown off the he thought he nailed one and then got told to release and looked like he has an amazing way of just looking like the most wronged man ever. He looks so put out when things
he's.
don't quite
I'd
go to
say it's
plan.
more like he's he's more like the guy that's like done something bad at school and he's got to go home to his parents and he's trying to hold back the tears. Like it's kind of that
Yeah,
look.
yeah,
Like it's an
yeah.
apprehensive there could be tears coming look. Um
He's. I just hope, and I think it could work out. Like Toulouse aren't known for recruiting mugs, are they? And if there's a side, I think I said it on Twitter to Derek, shout out Derek. Um, if there's a side that can get the most out of the pretty sizable attributes and raw abilities, then
yeah.
you would hope it's them. And he really does have them in spades. But yeah, I was quite impressed, and Doshia as well. Like just at scrum time, it held up. It was more than fine in that first half.
Yeah, I think they did lose. They did concede one early on, which I think might have been Odosio. But never mind. So one thing that you flagged, um, and you'll notice I'm wearing a Section Parwaz t-shirt and my Po cap. You flagged you don't like centres on the wing, and we said, or I said, well, they've done it before. Galtier, if he likes a player, um, he'll just get them in the side. So we've had it with Fikil on the wing, we've had it with Moefana on the wing, and obviously both have been brilliant in the centres for France under Fabien Galtier. I would quite like it if Emilien Gaeton didn't play on the left wing ever again. I think I'm happy to see him fill in at right wing, but when he's like shanking one out on the
Yeah.
full right, but he just looked like a centre playing on the wing, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Like he looked like he was always trying to cut back inside. If he is going to play on the wing, he needs to become more Jack Nowley and just like get in and around the ruck because he's got brilliant feet. He's a can wriggle through
We
those
know
sorts
how
of
good he
gaps,
is.
but it didn't. I don't. I think he's on the bench this week, but it felt like they were a bit wasted with Gaiton and Atisogbe on the wing. That felt like neither of them really. You've got two phenomenal attacking talents there, and neither of them really got into the game.
Yeah.
But that said, I thought Deporter was one of the more positive to come out of this. He looked like he fits at that level, which when you're playing the All Blacks in New Zealand is a pretty high level. And I think he just, the odd carry was pretty physical. He defended well. Barassi defended well as well. I'm ambivalent about Barassi. I kind of I can see the positives, but I don't love it. Do you know what I mean?
I do wonder because he played when he was very, and he's still not that old now, is he? He's like
Like 27, I
26 or
think.
something.
Yeah,
But he played when he was very young, and before he got called up to Six Nations, it was a pretty big old gap. It was like
3 years or something.
five,
Yeah.
was it three? I mean, I thought it was a bit longer than that.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. It was like
I
2020 or
do
2021.
wonder. I think maybe his last game might have been in that or
Summer tour to
around
Australia.
something like that. I do wonder if he might just end up the sort of player who ends up on those tours,
Yeah,
like the sort of Arthur Van
Arthur Van
Son.
Son.
Maybe a
Yeah,
bit
I wouldn't be
harsh because
surprised to see
he
him.
was
I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish with fewer than 25
because he's
caps.
he's I mean he's like been a genuine standout at Toulouse this year, which isn't easy to do. So he like there's a huge amount of quality, but I don't you wouldn't say he sort of took his appearances in the Six Nations by the scruff of the neck, and this, like, he wasn't, yeah, he by no means to say had a poor game, but um, yeah, he might get a few more chances. Yoram Murfana, how many caps did it take him
Yeah,
before he had the
yeah.
brilliant? Yeah, he had it. Does, as I like to say quite often, people don't just like the whole Test match animal thing. Like, yes, I get it for some, but it doesn't always work quite that way. Should we move
Anyone
on
else
to?
that's yeah, should we go on to next
I
week?
think so. Yeah, you said James Harrington bib theory is back, and it is from what I've seen, it is looking kind of like the I don't know. Does it look like the strongest side that we would have seen of the three, bar the couple of injuries you mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the side 1 to 15 would be Adosho, Borgerit, Slimani, Ordu Halangahu, Fisher, Brennan, Guillard, Legarec, Hastoy, Fiku Deporter, Atis Hugby and Villiers on the wing, Barrett at fullback, and then the bench would be Barlow, Malez, or Malay, which I think I can see how they got there because it's Ale with an M on the end on the front. Demba Bamba, Talfa Fanua, and then it looks like Tisseron and Boshaton, Dalbanya, Gaiaton.
Okay.
Which I'm Brennan at 7 is a very French move, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pick a. But I think the scrum looks good there. Slimani comes in. You've got, I don't know where Berrier is. I don't know if he's injured. I'd rather see him than
oh shit.
Adoshio, perhaps. Although Adoshio and Malaz went all right, so fair enough. Borgerit, I think, is the better all-round player as a hooker.
Yeah,
You've got Oradu back in to run the line out, which was pretty shaky for France this week. Guillard comes back. Fisher comes back, who are obviously the two best players. As I mentioned, Hastoy comes in. I think he brings a bit more in attack, as good as Sagons' kicking has been. Villiers comes back in, who was pretty good in the first game. Fiku Deporter, I think,
probably the best
is their best
combination
centre pairing
of
and
those
possibly is their best centre pairing
going
full
forward.
stop. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, you've still got Atasugbe in there.
no, fine, but yeah,
Barrows, yeah, it feels like Moafana and someone, isn't it? Should be really, but
be more fun of Deportek, isn't it, when it comes back round?
you'd be happy if they started the Six Nations with Fiku and Deporter.
Correct.
Um, so and then Tisserand and Boschton on the bench, I think that's quite a nice thing. Van Tondo was pretty anonymous. I thought Legarec hasn't done much. Um, I know he's clearly better than the other two, but he hasn't done loads to kind of merit, any
Yeah,
praise.
it's been a little bit disappointing because he is of himself like he can be such a standout, right? Like we've seen
I
him
think that's what I was waiting for. Like I was trying to work out whether it was just, the scenario wasn't quite right for him because they were getting destroyed, or
sort of
whether
looking for
he
him
could.
to be the one dragging others forward
Yeah, yeah.
because I
Although
think he is a test quality nine.
he did do that tap and go when they made that break, and I was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. um, so his decision making could do with a bit, but yeah, you're looking for him to drag his team through, which I think he is capable of.
Yeah.
Maybe this week with Astoy, they'll go better, but I think that is a better team. Um, whether
Okay.
they will have enough to turn around, I bet New Zealand will rotate this week
I
a little
think,
bit.
yeah, I think I haven't seen a side, but I've seen a couple of quotes that would suggest they're gonna try it for you guys. Um, okay, well, we'll leave that there.